Alright, let's dive into something that's both nostalgic and downright fascinating, the first number one hits of some iconic 70s classic rock artists. But here's the twist, we're not just talking about the songs, we're unpacking the stories, the creative struggles, and the moments that made these tracks legendary. Because, let's be honest, what makes a song truly iconic isn't just the melody, it's the why behind it. So, buckle up, because this isn't your average countdown. First up, let's talk about Best of My Love by the Eagles. Released in 1975, this song wasn't just their first number one hit, it was the first of 5. But here's what's really interesting, this track was born out of a happy accident. Glenn Frey was messing around with a guitar tuning he'd learned from Joni Mitchell, got lost, and stumbled into the foundation of this song. Personally, I think this is a perfect example of how creativity often thrives in chaos. We romanticize the idea of artists meticulously crafting their work, but sometimes, the best art comes from getting lost in the process. What many people don't realize is that this song wasn't just a hit, it was a turning point for the Eagles, setting the stage for their dominance in the 70s. If you take a step back and think about it, this story highlights how even the biggest bands often start with a simple, almost accidental moment of inspiration. Now, let's shift gears to Dreams by Fleetwood Mac. This was their first and only number one hit in the US, and it's a song that's drenched in emotion. Stevie Nicks has talked about how difficult it was for her to perform this song initially, given the tension within the band at the time. What makes this really interesting is how raw and vulnerable the song feels, it's almost like you're eavesdropping on a deeply personal moment. In my opinion, this is why Dreams has stood the test of time. It's not just a catchy tune, it's a snapshot of human emotion. What this really suggests is that sometimes, the most powerful art comes from the most uncomfortable places. It's a reminder that creativity often thrives in chaos, just like with the Eagles, but in a completely different way. Finally, let's talk about My Love by Paul McCartney and Wings. This was their first number one hit, though McCartney was no stranger to the top spot thanks to his Beatles days. What's fascinating here is the dynamic between McCartney and guitarist Henry McCullough. McCartney had written the solo, but McCullough asked if he could try something different, and McCartney said yes. One thing that immediately stands out is how this moment speaks to McCartney's willingness to let go of control. For someone who'd been at the helm of the Beatles, this was a big deal. From my perspective, this is a masterclass in collaboration. It's easy to hold on to creative control, but sometimes, stepping back can lead to something even greater. What many people don't realize is that this song wasn't just a hit, it was a testament to the power of trusting your bandmates. If you take a step back and think about it, these 3 songs aren't just number one hits, they are stories of creativity, vulnerability, and collaboration. They remind us that behind every great song is a human moment, a risk, or a happy accident. Personally, I think that's what makes classic rock so timeless. It's not just the music, it's the people behind it. So, the next time you hear one of these tracks, remember, you're not just listening to a song, you're hearing a piece of history. And that, my friends, is what makes this stuff so damn fascinating. What do you think? Which of these stories resonated with you the most? Let me know in the comments, I'm curious to hear your take.